Deforestation is the permanent destruction of forests to make the land available for other uses. An estimated 18 million acres of forest are lost each year. Other than the destruction of wildlife habitat, deforestation causes many long-term problems in the area. Most of the time, deforestation occurs due to expanding agricultural needs for growing human populations. The total land area of South Africa is 121,447,000 hectares, and as of 2010, only 8% of it is forest cover. An increase in the lack of important rivers and lakes are requiring extensive water conservation and control measures. The growth of water usage is outpacing the supply. The growing populations in South Africa are requiring the growth of new cities. Because of the deforestation that occurs, the water quality is lowering. The side effects that occur due to the destruction of the forest is the sediment runoff that gets into the freshwater systems and the invasive species that thrive due to new kinds of environments. The invasive species that are overtaking urban areas and recently harvested forests are a major factor of water shortages. The areas affected by deforestation are experiencing higher amounts of invasive species due to less competition for sunlight and water. The invasive species take up a much higher amount of groundwater, and this causes the water table to lower and not be able to recharge during the rain season. The main non-native species that has developed in South Africa is the acacias. These plants have a very high water uptake that drains the water table. With the invasive species of acacia taking over the land and lowering the water table, the amounts of rivers and lakes become a problem for the water demand in those areas. Some acacia species are the cascade wattle, Beatty's wattle, and red-eye. Invasive species also threaten the biodiversity in the forest. With a change in species comes a change in the ecosystem that can have drastic effects on the water supply and quality. The biodiversity in the forest is an important factor to keeping the equilibrium. When it is thrown off by deforestation and the invasion of non-native species, the ecosystem starts to show signs of negative change. One change in the ecosystem due to deforestation and invasive species is the increase in fires. After a fire, the amounts of erosion and sediment runoff increases. The erosion of sediment gets into the local water supply, raising the heavy metal amounts and decreasing the water quality for the natives. The heavy metals in the water pose a great threat to not only the water quality but the vegetation and wildlife. Erosion is the gradual destruction of something by wind, water, and other natural agents. By clearing a forest, erosion rates can increase because the vegetation is no longer there to hold the dirt in place. With erosion, the sediment gets into the water system, decreasing the quality. The forest that was there prior to deforestation helped keep the erosion and sediment rates low and the water quality high. The sediment increase is a major problem in the water systems, and a need for fresh water source for the people is rising with the population, and the supply cannot keep up. The deforestation is causing what water supply that is left to become contaminated with sediment, which contains materials like heavy metals that cause more problems with the surviving vegetation. An area with a major increase in heavy metals in the water system is the Swartkopse River. The high density of people in that area is causing man-produced pollution and erosion problems that affect not only the people but the vegetation and wildlife. Erosion and sediment contamination of heavy metals have a large effect on the water quality, resulting in a large decrease in the fish population. The first step to working towards improving water quality and supply is to admit that water provision is a serious problem. Without acknowledging the importance of the problem, there can be no advancements toward the restoration to the water quality. Reducing the demand is one idea, but can be difficult due to the rising population. There are organizations taking these steps to improve and increase the water supply and quality. There are groups that are working towards reducing the negative impacts of deforestation. Improving the water quality and supply is their main goals, and to do that, the negative effects of deforestation needs to be addressed. For example, the removal of invasive species is a big step to increase the water supply. Also, reducing the amount of erosion from deforestation will help sediment runoff lower, which will increase water quality. The Reduced Emissions from Deforestation and Forest Degradation is an organization with the objective of mitigating climate change through reducing net emissions of greenhouse gases through enhanced forest management in developing countries. This project has been under negotiation since 2005 because of the rising greenhouse gas emissions from forest degradation and deforestation. The people are against RED. They believe that it is not a solution to climate change and will only create more problems for the forest. Unfortunately, the RED is facing a lot of resistance from the people. The indigenous people have openly said that this plan will only make their important and sacred forests into carbon dumping grounds. The goal of the Working Water Program is stated that it will sustainably control invading alien species to optimize the potential use of natural resources through the process of economic empowerment and transformation. Not only will this program work towards the eradication of invasive species, it will create much-needed jobs for the locals in South Africa. There can be many different techniques to obtaining the data we need to understand the gravity of deforestation and its effects on the water quality. Remote sensing and GIS are two ways to get the information on the land usage. A large number of the land that was degraded is now used for agriculture, while the other part is turned into urban areas for the growing population. A Geographic Information System, or GIS, is a system designed to capture, store, manipulate, analyze, manage, and present spatial or geographical data. This can be used to analyze the factor and the impact of deforestation on the land and water quality. GIS helps to determine the land use and decide on what actions to take for restoration. Remote sensing is the process of the collection of environmental data indirectly. By using remote sensing to determine the land usage, it helps to understand the impacts on the groundwater supply due to agriculture. It gives a clear insight on the impacts of land use changes on the water quality for the residents and the importance of allowing time for the groundwater to recharge. Along with South America, Africa has the highest rates of deforestation in the world in 2010 through 2015. Fortunately, the rates of loss has substantially decreased in the past 5 years. When people start to identify that there is a problem, there can be major change in direction to restoration instead of deforestation, which in turn helps to rise the water quality. Deforestation is a big problem throughout the world. Getting the water sources to increase in quality may take some time, but the Working for Water program is an important step to an organization to bettering the water quality. There needs to be major changes in the land usages, but because people have realized the need for change, the change can now happen successfully.